We've all got our favorite inspiration from fiction, characters that we love. And most of us D&D players, we use that as inspiration at the table. For this episode of the Art of Character podcast, I've got a friend, a fellow player in DM with me, Jake. He's going to guest and talk about his inspiration from fiction and how he's used that to develop some of his characters or for inspiration for future characters he may play. I'm Chris. Welcome to the Art of Character Dungeons & Dragons podcast, where we explore all things D&D, focusing on the heart of the matter, the characters. Let's roll. So in today's episode, I've got a guest with me, a fellow player and DM, Jake, and he is going to talk about some of his inspiration from fiction, things that he's used to play characters, or maybe some ideas for the future. I know he's got some great inspiration from fiction because he's talked to me about some of those before. So, Jake, let's kick it off. First of all, thanks for joining us. Glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome. So, hit us off first with one of your favorites.
It's a great question. Currently, I'm playing a character called the Stranger, who's an Aasimar cleric, and he's fashioned after the Angel of Death. And I think he's really interesting. I try to find characters that really don't display maybe exactly the same qualities that I have as a person. And so I like to play characters who are different. And so this one doesn't really say anything at all. He just kind of follows the party around, and he's really creepy.
Right.
His favorite thing to do is to kind of rattle his bones and creep everybody out.
Right. So I play in that campaign, so I've seen the Stranger, and he is a pretty weird dude, that's for sure. So I guess this idea of picking up a character that you can play that really is a lot different from you, you really do have to do some role playing. I mean, you got to think about it a little bit. It's not just like, it's me.
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the things that I love about D&D is the roleplay aspect, the ability to kind of build a story from scratch. I'm not too interested in the combat aspect. I'm not really that interested in min-maxing. I want to go in and build a great story.
Yeah.
And so good characters make great stories.
They absolutely do.
And so having this character made it so I could get outside of my norm and just kind of do something different. And it's a great way, a little bit of escapism to get out of my my normal, everyday, boring life and do a little something different with my friends.
I mean, that is a huge benefit to playing D&D. So I guess it would be a good point here to talk about, so Stranger's a lot different from you. So what are some kind of character traits that you have that maybe, that might be different from the Stranger?
Oh man, I'm really outgoing. I'm typically, if I'm playing a character that's more like myself, I like to kind of take a lead role and make decisions. So whenever the DM's like, hey, what are you going to do? I like to be a problem solver, and I like to try to figure out the mystery and say, hey, why don't we do this, guys? And so in this case, I'm really taking a back seat.
All right, so for this character, based on the Angel of Death, was there a specific inspiration for the Angel of Death, or what would you tell us about the Angel of Death and how that applies to the Stranger? Yeah,
so he carries a large sickle that deals radiant damage.
Great flavor.
Yeah, and so yeah, he doesn't say much. He just kind of creeps people out, and he's Grave Domain cleric. And so I wanted to make sure that because in this campaign we were going to deal with a whole lot of undead, that I had a character that's not only appropriate for the adventure that we're going on,
sure,
but one that has a lot of really good flavor and adds to the party and a little bit of mystique and mystery.
Yeah, when I think about it, I guess it is kind of like when you think about maybe not necessarily the Angel of Death, but the Avatar of Death, right? The guy with the sickle and kind of the robes that's floating around, and that's more or less the vibe, right?
Yeah, and so I went with Angel of Death because he's an Aasimar and he has wings. It's kind of a cool idea when these bony wings come sprouting out the back of his cloak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So what's another one? What's another good inspiration from fiction for you?
Oh, I have a lot of good ones. I think my favorite's probably Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
Awesome. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So an artificer, and he's just really eccentric, and he's a hermit. And so he only has a friend, and he has a little robotic dog named Einstein.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I absolutely think you got to play Doc Brown as an artificer. So what would Doc Brown be interested in as an adventure? Like, what would he be trying to do?
He would be trying to search for hidden components of his flux capacitor, I think.
Okay. Some kind of an artificer thing that he's building, some machination, right? And he needs components to that, or I guess magical components to make it work, maybe.
Yeah. He would kind of just, you'd hear him mumbling every now and again, 1.21 gigawatts.
Yeah, that's right. So, and I'm guessing he would also be going around probably looking for portals and doing interplanar travel and, jumping back and forth between worlds. I mean, I would think there would have to be some of that going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With all the magic in this universe, he would definitely branch out from his normal electrical engineering kind of background and start looking into the mysteries of the universe. For sure.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, so what's another one?
Oh, so when I was a kid, my older brother was obsessed with Batman.
Okay.
Yeah, The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight trilogy was like that stuff, or?
Well, the comic books, the Batman Detective, all of the Dark Knight comic books.
Okay.
The Batman series. Yeah, Michael Keaton.
Okay. They all had different actors back then in the earlier movies, but not like the Dark Knight trilogy where it was all Christian Bale. So, yeah, Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And Batman.
Yeah. The Michael Keaton Batman was definitely the best. I think it was the darkest, and that's really when we got into it. So the idea of Batman being, a paladin with the oath of vengeance, that makes a lot of sense. And you take a couple of levels of artificer too, and armor. So he could build his gadgets because he always has the coolest tools.
Sure. Or you could do that a different way too. So you could have Batman, right, and being this paladin, this Oath of Vengeance paladin, and that makes sense. But then maybe one of the other characters in the party is an artificer, right, and making things like kind of a sidekick or something like that, making things for him. I think another thing you could add to Batman, he is fairly stealthy. You could do a level or two dip into Rogue. Right. So, I mean, he is the Dark Knight, right? He's not exactly following the law in his administration of justice all the time.
Oh, no. Yeah. That's why the Oath of Vengeance is so good for him. And being a paladin, don't you get some kind of charge that can kind of follow you around and help you?
Well, in older versions of D&D, retainers were definitely a thing. They really encouraged you to hire retainers.
I wonder if you could hire a retainer that would be like your armor artificer, like an
absolutely.
Alfred.
Absolutely. Or it would be a great NPC. If the DM would go along with it, you could have an NPC, kind of a similar idea to James Bond and having Q, right? Or so the DM gives you an NPC that comes in periodically and it'd be great. He shows up in the middle of an adventure when you need something, and he's like, all right, so comes through some secret door, and he's like, all right, sir, I got the message. Yeah. We've got the XYZ device, and it's gonna help you on this next stage. I don't know. That would be.
It's always cool when the dungeon master or game master just kind of lets you run with an idea like that. Like, a random light comes on in the distance and the party has no idea what's going on, but your Dark Knight just disappears for a while.
Right. And when I think about stories in fiction and kind of how we play characters and kind of working that in with your DM, I think one of the greatest things, and it is hard to do, but it's amazing when you can, to really talk to the DM and the player. You kind of work on your backstory a little bit together and figure out some things that might or may happen in the future. And I think it's most exciting if you can leave that open-ended, and then the DM is actually working in what really are surprises. You don't really know exactly what's going to happen or how it's going to work out, but when it does, it's like, hell yeah, right?
That's what's great about D&D, man. Like, no other game or, tabletop role-playing games where you get to build the story, and the story is what makes it cool. Yeah. When you're in a video game or maybe like a tabletop card game, you don't get to build a story. It's already kind of laid out for you. Yeah. You know what your role is, and you're gonna fall into that lane. But in this game, you can make the story whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, you really can. Although there are some campaigns that are pretty railroady, but even with that, within that, you can still make a lot of choices. It's another one of your favorites.
I have some weird ones, man.
Now go ahead, hit us with it.
Like SpongeBob SquarePants.
Okay, all right, man. I got to hear this.
All right, so he has like a custom background or a custom lineage,
Right.
Where he's a sponge. So I don't think that there really is any race that would account for that. So we would just kind of make it up as we go along. He would be a monk,
just like a sea creature
Yeah.
of some sort,
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could do a flavor take, and there's all different kinds of like sea creature humanoids in D&D, and you could do a flavor take on one of those.
Yeah, he has he takes the chef feat. So because he works at the Krusty Krab.
Sure. Okay.
But he's just goofy. Like I know a lot of people from my generation kind of stem off of SpongeBob episodes. So it'd just be fun to just kind of meme off of that for a while.
It would be. Now, I mean, so making a funny character or a meme character can always be fun, although, you don't want to take it too far. So how could you see playing that? Like, what class is SpongeBob going to be?
He would be a monk.
A monk.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how is SpongeBob a monk? Man, I got to hear this.
So I haven't really, to be honest, I haven't really thought this through. So,
Okay.
they're trying to fit a character like SpongeBob into Dungeons and Dragons. It's going to take a lot of improvisation.
Sure, absolutely.
We're just going to have to kind of take it as it goes and make SpongeBob fit into the world of D&D. And so I think it would be fun to play him as a monk. He would have some pretty good dexterity.
Right.
He would turn into this like awesome fighter, which would be hilarious to see. To think about a sponge with these little tiny skinny arms. That's just like,
just absolutely kicking ass, right? Hitting people in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be cool. I mean, you could just play him straight up too this would be kind of basic and it might be easier to do. You could just play him as a fighter or something like that,
sure.
Right? And, he's got some weapons and his armor has got to be, whatever he does, it's got to be something that's shell-based.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
The hard plates have got to be something from the sea. All right.
Something about statting out SpongeBob is hilarious to me. Another goofy one. Have you ever watched Rick and Morty?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
All right, so Mr. Poopy Butthole. As a barbarian.
As a barbarian. All right. Okay. So now we're getting out there a little bit. All right. So let's do this one. How do you play Mr. Poopy Butthole as a barbarian?
All right. So he's really durable. He's a really durable character. He has these series of events in the Rick and Morty universe where like any other creature would be dead and permanently dead.
Okay.
And so, but he just keeps coming back, right?
He can resist that damage, right?
Yeah. And so the idea of a raging Mr. Poopy Butthole is hilarious to me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So what is this character actually going to look like? Like, what are you going to, like, what's the species here?
Oh, he's going to look exactly the same as he does in the show. He's going to be a variant human.
Right, okay.
Or you could even do like like a tiefling kind of build for him.
Okay.
Because he's smaller than a regular human. But yeah, you could just kind of like a halfling sort of thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You could do a halfling, right? And sometimes elves are smaller, dwarves. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So that was a couple weird ones there. Hit us with another one.
Yeah. So I think we've all heard the Chuck Norris jokes, how much of a badass Chuck Norris is.
Sure.
So I would love to play Chuck Norris as a D&D character.
Okay. How do you do that?
You have to do a variant human who's like virtually indestructible.
Okay.
He would definitely be a monk.
All right.
His fighting ability is unmatched and unparalleled.
All right, so if you stat them out, so we're going to do strength, constitution, and dexterity as the highest. He'll probably have a decent wisdom also. But so of strength, dexterity, or constitution, what do you make the highest?
I would probably start with high strength.
Okay.
And then dexterity.
Okay.
And then constitution.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
He would be a folk hero.
Okay.
Because
Oh, absolutely. I love that.
he's a legend,
Right.
You know, he has to be legendary. His reputation precedes him.
Sure.
Wherever he goes, everybody knows that's Chuck Norris, and he will kick your ass.
Right. So you're doing like Chuck Norris, the martial arts version, or is it like Chuck Norris, Texas Ranger? I mean, the bulk of the body of his work is as Texas Ranger, but some of the older stuff with Chuck Norris as the martial artist, that's pretty cool.
This is more the legend of Chuck Norris than it is any of his one character roles.
Nice.
This is just kind of the meme that everyone says, Chuck Norris can kill two stones with one bird, that kind of thing.
Right.
So he's just going to be ridiculously strong and accurate with his punches, and he'll almost never miss. And hopefully, like you get a DM that's okay with having a character that's that OP.
Right. Yeah. So you could work in something maybe with the DM and change up the class just a little bit. And maybe based upon your proficiency bonus, let's say you're at +3 or something like that, you have 3 rerolls of a dice per short rest or something. And that would add some mechanical flavor or flair in there.
Chuck Norris's really terrible acting ability would make his charisma score really tank. He would just be terrible as trying to sell something, or even intimidating them with words. Just walking in a room, he has maybe an intimidation factor, but
intimidating presence, and then low charisma.
Yeah.
But I think what you could also do with him is, so it'd be kind of funny to have Chuck Norris referring to himself in third person or making jokes about himself that are essentially the memes about Chuck Norris. And at one point, to intimidate somebody, he throws a rock and kills 2 birds with one stone. It's like Chuck Norris always kills 2 birds.
Yeah, and
tink tink with one stone.
And the party just absolutely hates him because he refers to himself in third person and makes all of these terrible jokes about himself.
Right. Well,
it just seems like he's bragging all the time.
Well, it could still be fun, right? Depending on the mix and the balance of the party and who you're playing with, they may love it. Who knows? All right. So what's another one?
I was thinking maybe like Indiana Jones.
Oh, sure. That was one of mine. So the episode I did, I always wanted to be Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I thought he was so damn cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so I would play him as a rogue thief.
Sure.
And probably give him I'd probably give him like a archaeologist background. And just make him kind of resourceful and reckless, and have this like roguish demeanor where he is really full of himself, takes a lot of risks, but is always curious and actually has a really high intelligence score.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the things that I think is just so amazing about Indiana Jones, a couple of the scenes from Raiders of the Lost Ark are essentially D&D. What about that opening scene, right? Where he's sneaking into that tomb and he's got the bag of sand and he's weighing it so he can steal this gem, and he's, that's a rogue.
That's D&D.
That's D&D.
100%.
Makes a swap, triggers a trap, and is, rolling out. The thief failed on disarming the trap. That's what happened there. And what a great way for a DM to play that, where, you do your disarm trap and you're like, well, you don't know if that succeeded or failed. You think you're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the thing gets triggered, or maybe there's a secondary effect. That's awesome. I also love the scene where, so they're in the desert at this point, and he, does this rope down into this tomb where they're looking for the Ark. And anyway, they figure out he's down there. They lock him down there. It's the snakes. It's just down there in the crypt, and just, they have to, kind of jumping from platform to platform down there and figuring out how to get away from the snakes. That's Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be cool to kind of work in the snakes as a DM as kind of his weakness.
A fear of snakes.
Yeah.
And so an interesting thing about Indy, and so, I love Indiana Jones, like I said, is if you go way back to his origin story, and I believe that was like 1912, and that was from The Last Crusade. But just a cool scene where he comes across these grave robbers. He's like, that should be in a museum, right? And so that's kind of where that thing comes from. He's always trying to get artifacts and keep them away from the bad guys. And then he's got this whole chase scene, and there's like he's given a hat from this Native American who's impressed. He's got the whip. He gets a scar. There's the snakes. Like that's where his fear. Like it's all there. You go. Like it's
Great character building.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
I have a couple like Gandalf. I think everybody would love to play like a Gandalf type character, stereotypical wizard with his staff and his cloak, and but I think in Gandalf's case, he's not your average wizard.
Yeah, I mean, he is one of the wizards of the realm.
Yeah. And what's interesting about the Tolkien universe is that wizards aren't just like people who got really smart and then turned into they learned about the magic of the realm.
Sure.
No, there's like celestial beings that were sent down by the pantheon of celestial beings to guide humans in this battle against evil.
Right.
And so they are, I guess in the D&D world, they wouldn't really be wizards, would they?
Well, they would probably be sorcerers, right? So they kind of naturally acquire this magic. And I guess the interesting thing about Tolkien is that magic isn't as readily available as it is in the world of D&D, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, the interesting part also is that Tolkien was absolutely an inspiration for Dungeons and Dragons. I think one of the coolest things is in the earliest rules, they had hobbits, which then Tolkien estate, they either threatened a lawsuit or there was a lawsuit, so they were changed to halflings, and that's where that came from.
Same with Balrogs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I think that's just interesting that Gary Gygax, one of the co-founders, and probably Arneson also, loved Tolkien. It was a great inspiration. But in this world, there's so much more magic in D&D than there was in the Tolkien world. So, but how do you play Gandalf?
Yeah, so I'm thinking he would be more of a Aasimar sorcerer.
Okay, love it, right.
Like the celestial being.
Sure.
Who draws power from from Manwë or Eru Ilúvatar.
Okay.
So where he, like I said, he wouldn't be a traditional wizard in the sense that he got in the books and became, he's really intelligent and learned magic. He just inherently has magic and was sent here for a specific goal.
Right. So do you play him anything like Gandalf in the story? So Gandalf is this leader, and he is inspiring, and he is coming up with plans. I mean, if Gandalf wasn't part of that story doesn't happen, right?
100%. Yeah, so he would be more of the shepherd of the group where he guides folks and he helps to push the story along, but he doesn't really have much martial ability.
Sure.
I think the movies make Gandalf look like he's this martial character who fights a lot.
Right.
And I think he had a mandate from the pantheon of celestial beings to not really intervene so much for humans.
Okay.
And so he was just there to kind of shepherd man and the hobbits to overcome evil with his wisdom.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love Gandalf too. He was one of my inspirations, and I listed the 3 Ds. So we had Gandalf, Gimli, and Galadriel. I actually love Gimli as a fighter. I mean, he is, as a dwarven fighter, just so stereotypical. And even though I'm not good at it, I think the Scottish accent for dwarves in particular is the best. Fantastic. If you can do it, right? But absolutely love Gandalf. Smoking the pipe. Sometimes he's got the hat. Sometimes he's got the beard. And just an amazing sort of character. So one of the things I think you could do, and this is a little harder for a DM to do, but I think would be a great way. And this was not as uncommon in older Dungeons and Dragons. If you die back in like this edition or older editions of D&D, you re-roll a first level character. So if the rest of your party is 3rd or 4th level, you're starting again at level 1. So that could always be a bit of a challenge. So it was not uncommon to have higher level characters with lower level characters. So one of the things you could do though is make Gandalf be several levels above these players who are newer and starting out. Or, if you're talking about Lord of the Rings, really you've got Gandalf is kind of this higher level character, but a lot of the other members of the Fellowship are higher level, except the hobbits. They are level 1, right? And so maybe some of the other characters are level 3 through 5, or Gandalf is like a level 6 or 7. It would be an interesting way to run a campaign. Maybe Gandalf's an NPC, but I don't know. I've never really played where I'm a much higher level and other players are a lower level, but it certainly would be an interesting way to play the campaign.
Sure.
Kind of keeping them alive.
Yeah, I think one thing the movies do a really good job of with Gandalf is showing there's a scene in the Two Towers where Gandalf is sitting beside the King of Rohan.
Okay.
And he's advising him. He's telling him
essentially
that you have no choice but to fight here. This
Right.
is the battle is coming to your doorstep. People will die. And he's advising him, and just the way that the scene is set up, it shows that he even has higher wisdom than kings who have been ruling their kingdoms for a long time.
Sure.
I think it appropriately doesn't apply that to Aragorn, because Aragorn is very old and has been around. He even fought with the King of Rohan's grandfather,
right?
Because he's a Dunedain lineage. And so having Gandalf be significantly higher level than other players, but not really having much of a martial impact on battles would be a really cool way to play him.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got to have some key spells that come in at key times and can change the tide of certain battles. And obviously, he would have that capability if he was a higher level player. So anyway, right.
To pull the eagles in when stuff really gets serious.
There you go. Or, I'm not really sure what the spell would be, but like his staff and just emitting this light and all the other, the orcs and the bad guys are all just recoiling from this light, some sort of a radiant spell, but that'd be cool.
Yeah, the Aasimar, and that would play into the Aasimar race really well.
Right on.
Cool.
All right, so there's some fictional inspiration, some on the weird side, some a little more down the middle, but certainly some good stuff. And really what we're hoping you can do is use some of your favorites from fiction as inspiration for characters you might play. Don't be afraid to pull a weird one out of your back pocket. It's really about having fun. What's fun for you may not be fun for somebody else, but also remember the other members at your table. This is a cooperative game after all. You don't want to be so weird or so out there or so different that it makes it not fun for everybody else. You don't want to be the spotlight hog. And as always, on the Art of Character, we believe that creating a character is much more about the art than the science. And it's about the strokes that you want to use to create the story that you love. And getting some inspiration from fiction can make it easy to get something up off the ground and running, and to play something that you're inspired by, that's fun, that makes your game just a little bit better. So once again, thank you, Jake. Really appreciate you coming and joining us here on the episode. We hope you come back soon.
Yeah, it was a great time, man. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of The Art of Character. If you've made it this far, consider liking, commenting, or subscribing, or click below and join our Patreon or our Discord. You can also click below and get something from our merch store. Until next time.